Aloha, good evening, everyone, on this pleasant Friday night from American Fork, Utah. Welcome to the Rewind Sports Network's coverage of American Fork football, presented by Cavemen and Associates. Tonight, the UHSAA and KSLSports.com are proud to present the second-round matchup in the 2023 UHSAA 6A football playoffs, as tonight the number one overall seed American Fork takes on Westlake in an all-Region 3 second-round showdown. Wherever you're joining us, glad you're here, everyone. Alexander Timlip, joined by Ty Wilkinson up top here at AF. So, Ty, I turn to you. The first thing I say is tonight, we got an all-Region 3 matchup on our hands and a rematch of a game that took place just a few weeks ago up on the other side of Utah Lake.
And it's going to be a really good game today, Alex. And the reason why I say that is Westlake had to be here, and they had to earn their spot. They had a play-in game against Fremont last week and ended up winning that one. Let's see here. That was 31-14. So they had a well-deserving era of that week, and now they're going to have to play here against a really good American Fork team that is 11-0 since 2021. So that's going to be a little bit interesting. 11-0 at home, I should say, in 2021.
Yeah, this, Ty, by far one of the toughest places to play in all of Utah high school football. And a lot of people talking about this American Fork team tonight, Ty, a lot of people want to know the question tonight: can American Fork go all the way? Because remember, they usurped Corner Canyon for number one in the RPI coming into this game. Now tonight is the night where we get to find out if they really, really could be the new favorites in 6A.
And this is going to be a showcase, Alex, to see what talent that this team can provide going into playoffs and if they can make a deep playoff run. If you can beat Westlake and prove that you are a capable playoff contender, I think that you have a very good shot of going far in playoffs. We know the history behind Corner Canyon and American Fork, and I think that motive and that incentive to try to win those games is going to be a lot more prevalent for American Fork this season.
And there's another reason why those two teams are actually the previous two teams that met for the boys basketball state championship the last 2 years, split both ways. American Fork won in 2022, of course, at Provo, and of course last year the D Event Center, of course. Corner Canyon defeated American Fork, but then again, this is a different sport and a different place we're playing at tonight. Chris Swank, the white hat, taking care of the coin toss in midfield as Ty and I dive now into the Heidemann and Associates Keys to the Game, presented by the full-service law firm that is committed to winning for you, the client. Ty, what stands out to you the most about these two teams tonight?
Westlake, more that I've seen, more often than not. We called the game against Lone Peak last week, or I think that was 2 weeks ago. But though it's interesting that I'm going to see is to see if the run game is going to be more prevalent than the passing game. We see lots of times, more often than not, Aiden Bayless loves running the ball. He's a very good quarterback, and he had a 56-yard touchdown against Lone Peak. So I'm going to see if the Cavemen defensive line is able to withstand this run game that Westlake has been able to provide. Because I think if they can try to get that pass coverage a little bit better, it's going to be a lot more interesting. As for if you're American Fork, points on the board. That's all I got to say, Alex. If you can get points on the board and become more prevalent and get that start early, Westlake is a second half team. And so if you can get those points early and be on top, I think you can very well withstand the offense of Westlake throughout the course of the night.
It just feels different in October. Josh Nelson, number 8, leading out American Fork with the spear tonight. As AF wearing the all-red uniforms, well, with the exception of their pants, going with the AF red on top. And it should be interesting to see what AF does coming out of this, because remember, AF will have the ball first. Westlake won the toss tie, and they will defer their option to kick off till the second half. So immediately we'll get to see Dylan Story in this Caveman offense go to work.
You wonder if that's going to be a really good strategy for Westlake, considering they are that prevalent second half team, as we've seen throughout the course of the season. Against Fremont in the play-in game, they had 28 total points. They only scored 3 in the first half, so maybe that'll be likewise of this game. We've seen American Fork and their very outstanding defense only hold teams to, let's see, we've seen 0, even like they have a ton of shutouts during their resume, even like 10. So we'll see if Westlake is able to withstand that. But going into this game, Alex, American Fork had to win an overtime game against Skyridge just in order to be here today. So you're kind of wondering if those gears are shifting a little bit, if you're almost taking a loss to a team like Skyridge, obviously being as good as they are. But you play Westlake today, you're at home. I think the confidence can definitely be on your side when you're getting the ball to start the quarter.
And the weather could not be any better either. 47 degrees, real feel 44. Clear skies, we're off and running from AF as the kickoff is taken by Max Edwards at the 5. 25. And he's brought down at the 43-yard line. Very good field position to start here for American Fork. So Max Edwards able to get that kickoff return, take that short kick. Nisi Talmoy-Peal made the stop. And now it'll be AF's offense's turn, and we get to see Dylan Story for the first time here tonight.
Dylan Story, arguably one of the best in Utah, as stats have proven.
1st and 10 from the 43-yard line following the kickoff return. Story has Eardley, the tailback. And he takes the snap on 1st down and throws. That is complete. A little short hitch pattern. And that is complete to the X-receiver out there. That's number 5, Davis Andrews, whose name you're going to expect to hear a lot tonight.
It's a really big senior offense that we've seen. The backfield, the quarterback, wide receivers, tight ends. It's very stacked in the senior position. And the reason why that's so prevalent, Alex, is these guys have experience in varsity. Some of these guys have been playing on this team since freshman year.
Of course, Davis Andrews committed to play at the University of Utah. Gets the handoff here on 2nd down. Does Jacob Eardley. Finds a gap, and he will have a 1st down up close to the 44-yard line, or the 47, rather. First down of the night for AF. Quickly across the field they come. Of course, Dylan Story, 5'11 senior. And he's playing, as you said, Ty, with a lot of experience in that offense. Jet Nelson, the X-receiver. Slot back, Zane Edwards. And, of course, Davis Andrews, the X-receiver. Again, we expect to hear Andrews' name called a lot tonight. 1st and 10 from the 47 of Westlake. Throw to the near side. That's complete. Coming back and making the catch is Andrews. And he's going to get stood up by a whole host of white shirts over there. First contact made there by Westlake's number 21. That's Dylan Hansen, who plays out there on that left side corner. And he's going to have his hands full tonight.
And as you mentioned, Davis Andrews is already getting the ball twice. You said we're going to say his name a lot. I mean, why wouldn't you? The guy has 28 receptions for 539 yards this season. I mean, kind of just the stats just prove it. 9 touchdowns on the regular season going into the playoffs. I think that's pretty handiwork in what you're having to deal for.
And he plays both ways, too. We're going to see him on defense later in this half, too. As the handoff goes to Eardley on 2nd down, he finds a bit of a gap, able to shake off a couple of tackles, and then he gets brought down after a pickup of about maybe 6 yards. It'll bring up 3rd down and a short yardage situation here for this American 14.
Eardley comes into this playoff game with playoff experience. He played as a junior as the running back, too, and I think once you get that playoff rhythm as a high school player, I've seen it time and time again back home in Texas, is that these guys, whenever they play in playoffs, it's like they've been there before. You don't get those pregame jitters. You know what to expect, and I think that's what Jacob Eardley so far has been proving as they keep driving down the field across midfield.
Everything is different in Texas. Come on now. 3rd down and less than 3 to go. Here's Eardley on 3rd. He surges forward. He should have the 1st down. And by the official signals, he does. And it'll move the chains. First 3rd down conversion of the night for AF goes into the book. And the clock continues to move here. Brought down on the play by Drayson Ofuvai and Salefano, among others. Dylan Story on 1st and 10 from the Westlake 36. And we have a flag. Looked like there was some movement up front prior to the snap. Chris Swank again a referee tonight. So AF commits their first penalty, and they will be backed up 5 yards. Just underway here from AF High School. Alexander Timlip and Ty Wilkinson with Austin Bigelow on the camera on this 44-degree night here in American Fork. Well, it feels like 44. Kickoff temperature was about 47. According to the National Weather Service, we're expecting increasing clouds and a chance of rain after the game is done later tonight. 1st and 15 now following the penalty from the 41. Here's Yearly, left side, finds a little bit of a hole. He's going to get taken down by Hansen et al. Not before a couple of people give him an old tug forward.
Solid push right there, about 2 yards. Got it right across the original line of scrimmage to negate that penalty yardage. But, I don't know, something about this team, Alex, they love to drive. Looks like that was...
Yep, offside. Going to move it up 5 yards. But to continue your point, Ty, they love to run the football. They're very big up front, like you said.
And I don't see why you wouldn't. Jacob Eardley, last season, he only averaged 28.8 yards per game. This year, he almost tripled that average and goes to 100.7 yards per game, just in a single season, if that tells you something about how Jacob Eardley's been working during the offseason.
Second down now and 4 now from the 30. Here's Yearly, left side, breaks a tackle, gets stood up. He should have the first down, though. Dylan Hansen with another first down. Rasmussen got him around the ankles, but not before he picked up another extra yard. So Yearly getting the ball a lot here. Theme of the night thus, or theme of the drive thus far, at least for American Fork. 1st and 10 from the Westlake 25. Story from the gun. Drops to pass. Looking for Davis Andrews. Throws for him in the corner. Touchdown, American Fork. So they run all that with Jacob Yearly, and then it's the Utah commit, Davis Andrews, that gets in the end zone first, and a perfect strike by Dylan Story and AF right down the field to draw first blood. James Barney now for the extra point. Good snap, good hold. The kick is up, and it is good. Just over the right upright. We look at the clock, 7:26 to go, first quarter. The American Fork Cavemen, the number 1 seed, off to a hot start here at home. Beautiful view there of the Mount Timpanogos Temple. As we come back here live, Alexander Timolip and Ty Wilkinson with Austin Bigelow on the camera, taking care of that gorgeous shot for us. 7:26 here left in the first quarter. American Fork right down the field on that short field, taking advantage of the good kickoff return. They lead 7-0 on that touchdown throw from Dylan Story to Utah commit Davis Andrews. Kickoff toward that windy end of the end zone will be taken on the run by Mason Jenkins. And Jenkins hits the wall, and he gets to about the 25-yard line before he's brought down right there. And Ty, you have to admit, that was pretty impressive, that opening drive, just how fluid that Caveman offense was.
It was very interesting. They loved to run the ball. They obviously gave it to Jacob Eardley, arguably one of the best quarterbacks in Utah, as stats have proven. But like we mentioned, Davis Andrews, a name that we're going to be hearing a lot, and probably we won't stop hearing tonight. He's very versatile, and he even plays baseball, Alex. He's got a .296 batting average. And you know how much I love dual sport athletes. When you got the athleticism, you can do it.
You do love them dual sport athletes. Aiden Bayless, the quarterback, already under duress on first down, but he comes back and finds his receiver, and making the catch is Griffin Fa'amosili, making his return to the lineup after missing a couple of games with a knee injury. And that's a first down there for Westlake. Aiden Bayless, the senior quarterback. Triple wide receiver lines up in tandem to the right. And he keeps it. Bit of a broken play, but he cuts back, finds a bit of a gap. He gets close to midfield. He's brought down there, but there's a penalty flag at around the 40-yard line, and I suspect this one, Ty, is probably coming back.
I would say so too, unfortunately, Alex. Aiden Bayless, as we mentioned, what a runner. I mean, he's just got that speed in him with, like, we can call it a 5-tool 4 football, basically. The fact that he can run basically ever. As we mentioned before, during the part of the game, he had a 56-yard touchdown in the first drive against Lone Peak. And that wasn't just luck, Alex. He made a few men miss in that play, too. So he's got skill and he's got talent with those legs, too.
Clock running, under 7 to go here in the first quarter. Alexander Timolip and Ty Wilkinson from American Fork High School. Aiden Bayless, quarterback power to the right. Picks up a few yards before he gets escorted on the bounds on the sideline. Escorted out of bounds there by Bailey, among others.
Another common trend we'll probably see throughout the course of tonight, Alex, is Aiden Bayless getting the run in more than anything. As we've seen, he's a very versatile player. Not only can he throw, but he can also run. And I think if you're the head coach of Westlake, Mr. Arnold Ale, who's got plenty of experience in football, he's been all over the place, and we can get to that in a little bit.
Sure does. Arnold Ale, national champion at Notre Dame, and of course played for the entire old AFC West.
Mm-hmm.
Bayless drops the pass. Looked like he was under duress, but now lobs one toward the sideline. A battle for it on the edge, and it's intercepted. Davis Andrews won the one-on-one battle against Peyton Barkley. What a play there by Andrews. He's caught a touchdown, and he's already got a pick. That's why Utah wanted him so bad.
Can we count that as 4 receptions tonight, Alex?
I'm with you on that one. Holy cow. Just went up and took that right away from Peyton Barkley. Looked like he had him beat. But Andrews said, I don't think so. And so AF again with a short field here on 1st and 10 from the 47-yard line. Already up 7-0. Play action. He gets hit as he throws, does Story, and it gets picked off. So Westlake does it one better. Isaac Jenkins, the middle linebacker, answers back with the pick. It was pressure on the edge, I think, by Afuvai that got him in the grill. And how about that for Westlake? Defensive coordinator Vike Tata's got to like that.
And Dylan Story is a quarterback that doesn't throw very many picks. Only 7 during the regular season in the games that he's played. And if you're Westlake, this is the advantage that you got to take. We talked about this before, Alex, getting that momentum in the first quarter. American Fork has already put points on the board, so you're already playing behind from where you would already originally be at that 0-0 score. So I think this is a good break that you can catch. Let's see if they can take advantage of the opportunity.
Bayless to throw on first down, just a 3-man rush. Throws, that's complete to the H-back, Ezra Heiner. And Heiner is brought down across the 50. Brought down on the play there by Luke Higbee, who's playing as one of the corners, who's playing as that, I call it the spear spot. That nickelback spot, I call it the spear. And that 3-3-5 defense for defensive coordinator Chris Busing. Drake Youngberg remains a tailback on 2nd down and 4 from the 47 of AF. And it's a handoff to Youngberg right up the middle. He pulls those legs forward, and from the signal we're getting, he's got the first down, and the first down of the night by short yardage here for Westlake. Just underway here, Alexander Timolip alongside Ty Wilkinson halfway here in this first quarter. Davis Andrews got a pick, but then Isaac Jenkins answered back with a pick of his own, and back-to-back turnovers on back-to-back plays, and Westlake has the ball inside AF territory, 1st and 10 at the 44. With the wind at their back, Bayless to throw on first down. Steps up in the pocket, looking, throws a high pass. It is caught, though, by Jenkins. And he gets about maybe 6 yards on that play.
Yeah, a little bit over the head of Jenkins, but still able to pull it in. Good for him. And now that continues the drive a little bit further. What I consider this is a win, Alex. Westlake, as we saw against Lone Peak, did not get into Lone Peak zone very often, but when they did, they were dangerous. So if this can reminisce likewise of that Lone Peak game, I think this has been a really good situation that Westlake has put themselves into.
2nd down now, 4. Bayless trying to run the option. Wasn't there, but makes a couple people miss. He spins, and he gets the first down. And we talked about how good Bayless is as a runner. A big body, too, to bring down. When you go after him, you better be able to wrap up and bring him down, because he might still pull you for 3 or 4 yards.
Nathan Bayless is a big dude, too. He can make men miss anytime that he wants to, especially when you're in his way and he wants to get that line to gain. I think you're in trouble whenever you're the one facing them. So if American Fork can like hold the defensive line to where it's been so far, I think it would probably be a little bit interesting to see how this game goes, just to see if they can, in fact, stop Bayless, because he's such a versatile runner, as we keep talking about.
And like we said, I mean, this Westlake offense thrives on the running game, and they've done that. They've had a pretty steady diet of that early on here, Ty, their first few drives. Just got to be careful, though, when they go to the air. 1st and 15 now from the 37-yard line. 4 minutes to go here, first quarter. Bayless from the shotgun, triple wide receiver to his right. Drops the pass. Plenty of time. Looking, throws, and try to throw it in the direction of Ezra Heiner. Looked like there was some miscommunication on that play, where Heiner went one way and Bayless threw the other way.
Yeah, I think Heiner missed his route there a little bit. He got a little bit tied up in the secondary, though, in the coverage, so I think trying to look for that football was his main key point that he was trying to do, and unfortunately he got stuck up between the defense.
It'll be interesting to see how Chris Busing also attacks that Westlake offense that runs a lot, because as we said, Bayless a very good runner and a very physical man at that. 2nd and 15 now. Bayless to throw on 2nd down. Drops the pass, throws in the middle, and that was nearly picked off. And that probably should have been picked. That was almost picked off by Dax Watts. And by the way, good calling out by Chris Busing. They're sending Watts in as a spy almost to sit right in the middle of that defense.
And Watts also, just like Davis Andrews, plays defense as well. These amount of position players that play offense and defense for the Caveman is so impressive to me, that they're able to play these positions, especially considering how big the roster of American Fork is. You look at all these guys and you think, wow, they had to put them in there? But, well, if you're good, you're good. That's all I have to say.
Blitz coming on 3rd down. Bayless has right side room to run. He throws into the middle, and making the catch is Jenkins, but he is going to be short of the 1st down, or are they going to give him the 1st down? They're going to say, give him the 1st down, and what a tough catch.
Wow.
By Mason Jenkins. I mean, he took a shot at the end of the play.
Mason Jenkins, probably one of the better wide receivers in the core of Aiden Bayless. He has 5 receptions for 101 yards this season and 1 touchdown on his resume. So, once again, we talked about just the passing play and the amount of confusion that Westlake is able to cause just because Aiden Bayless is such a good runner, but he can also pass.
Just a 3-man rush now facing Bayless here. 2nd on 1st down. Holding flag goes down. Bayless is going to get a couple of blocks, and again, this is what he does! But this pass, though, is intercepted! The pass is intercepted, and I would suspect the penalty is going to be declined. And so AF makes another big stop. When they were getting their feet held to the fire there defensively, what a big stop there, coming up with their 2nd takeaway of this quarter.
And something to note, Aiden Bayless, 2 interceptions just in the 1st quarter alone, and they already give up. What's good, though, is that American Fork is playing way behind in their zone with their backs basically directly to that goal line of their own end zone. So, honestly, if Westlake can get a stop here, get a 3-and-out, and get the ball back, I think you're sitting in a pretty good position if you want to try to take this game in through the rest of the night. Yeah,
like you said, deep in their own end. 1st and 10 at the 4 here for AF. Here's a handoff to Early. Big hole. 1st down all the way out to the 20. So much for being stuck in their own end. Jacob Early takes care of that with a big 16-yard pickup.
And that's what you need. He's got 200 carries for 1,007 yards in his career.
Well, I think he might have just gone back under 1,000 yards on that carry as he gets stoned right in the middle of the defense. But that's what we talked about, how AF, it's been a common thread all season long, how they always find a way to mix in different parts of their offense, and so far Jacob Early has been the bell cow here in the 1st quarter.
And the amount of offensive plays that they have in their itinerary can really screw up a defense, as we've seen so far against Westlake, considering the amount of drives that they've had and already the points on the board that they have.
Early again on 2nd down, and this time that defense for Westlake is waiting for him. Not before the pile tries to push him forward a little bit more. Brenner Peterson, among others, there to make the stop. And here's another third down here for the Westlake defense as AF hurries right back to the line. Under 2 minutes to go, first quarter. Alexander Timolip, Ty Wilkinson, as we've had turnovers on 3 straight drives. Story to throw. Plenty of time. Throws. Caught. Andrews. And he's wrestled out of bounds at the 43-yard line. Dylan Hansen stopped him, but not before Andrews picked up another 21 yards on that play.
There he is again, Davis Andrews. 4 receptions on the night, already has a pick. And Alex, that's the type of player you need to perform in the playoffs, too.
And this time, this pass is incomplete. Looked like there was some confusion on the line. Max Edwards, the intended receiver. Davis Andrews, I mean, that kid is a menace. I mean, anywhere you put him on offense or on defense, you know, the funny thing is, Ty, he committed to the U as a safety. But now there's a possibility that Kyle Whittingham might be looking at him saying, heck, he could play both ways.
True.
That's what's scary about it.
I think that's what a coach would look for, though, more than anything.
Yeah, especially this day and age. Story on second down throws a dart over the middle. That's complete to Edwards. And a first down up to the 42-yard line. And already AF into Westlake territory.
We talk about the amount of plays in the Cavemen itinerary. You never know if they're going to run, and you never know if they're going to pass because they're dangerous on both sides. Because when you got Dylan Story and Jacob Eardley in the backfield, I mean, what else could you ask for?
Yeah, possibly one of the best backfields in all of 6A for offensive coordinator Micah Hunsaker. Under a minute to go here, first quarter. Story hands to Eardley, free rusher off the edge. Penalty flag goes down again. And I suspect, well, we'll see what the flag is here. It was thrown in the area of holding from the umpire, but we'll see what they say. Initial indication looks like it's a face mask actually against Westlake. And it is. Sorry to the third penalty against Westlake. And it results in an automatic first down inside the 25-yard line. And you got to say, though, Ty, Westlake's defense is uber aggressive here, coming after this offense with everything they've got.
And you talk about the amount of aggression that they've shown, Alex, is the amount of play calls. We can keep referring back to them. It's so interesting to watch this team run so many different routes. For example, right there, almost just threw it to Jacob Eardley on the other side on a corner route. But once again, just the amount of itinerary that this offense has to try to prove Westlake wrong.
It kind of does feel like they're running almost like a West Coast spread offense, doesn't it? I mean, they're trying to stretch them out on the edges and run a lot of plays up the middle with just that big offensive line. It does feel like they're running more of that power West Coast spread.
It also feels like they are indirectly trying to run clock, too. You can see them just waiting for that play clock to run down as well as the game clock. And like we said, those runs down the middle are also going to prove that, too, because if you get out of bounds, that clock is just going to stop. So they're obviously not trying to save any time here for Westlake.
Here's a throw down the middle. That pass is caught. 2 men were in the area. Don't know if that was the play call, but Jet Nelson made the catch inside the 1. And they're going to hurry up to the line with 7 seconds to go to try to put more points on before the end of this quarter. And the clock is already running, and it doesn't look like they're going to get it off. As the siren goes off here at AF to signal the end of the first quarter. Bit of a crazy first quarter. We had turnovers on 3 straight drives, but now AF threatening inside the 1-yard line as we get set for the second quarter of this presentation of the UHSAA playoffs on KSL Sports Rewind. I'd like to thank Igloo Outfitters for their official support of KSL Sports Rewind's coverage of the UHSAA playoffs and KSL Sports coverage of high school sports all season long. It is the coziest wearable sleeping bag that has you covered during those chilly days and nights. Worry no more about the weather. Watch your favorite team in comfort by logging on to igluoutfitters.com and enter Rewind for $20 off. You never miss the moments you were meant to see. Alexander Timolip, Ty Wilkinson here on top of the press box here at AF. Wouldn't we like to have those Igloo Outfitters right now as the old T formation gets broken out and the old shove into the end zone works to treat. And the American Fort Cavemen take advantage of a turnover and go 96 yards on the opening play and drive of the second quarter. Extra point is up, and it is good. 14-0 American Fork. We're just underway here in this second quarter. And Ty, you gotta love the balance that offensive coordinator Michael Hunsaker is playing with right now. Feeding Jacob Early early, as we expected, but also getting the ball to his weapons, something that we expected also a lot of here in this game.
And you gotta love points off turnovers too, Alex. Westlake giving up that interception. They went from the 4-yard line all the way to their own end zone. Obviously, they didn't break the time barrier until the end of the half, so I guess they didn't go coast to coast necessarily, but still, I think that's a pretty impressive 96-yard drive, especially against this Westlake defense that has held teams pretty easy, I feel like, throughout the course of the regular season, especially going into playoffs, only holding Fremont to 14.
And how about also the defense of AF stepping up to the challenge as well? I mean, where you consider AF's defense was on that play, they were defending into the red zone, and Westlake had them on their heels, which makes it all the more impressive on that drive. Ready to kick off as the kickoff will sail right through the back of the end zone for a touchback. Yeah, we'll get to see this Westlake offense again. And if you're the Westlake Thunder right now, that offense right now is pretty much on schedule, nixing the two turnovers by Aiden Bayless. Right now, they're very much on schedule right now offensively.
I would say so too, Alex, but when you say on schedule, I mean, this team has been so versatile, and we saw it against Lone Peak 2 weeks ago. They're very versatile in their run plays, likewise of American Fork. I mean, when you have a quarterback as good as Aiden Bayless, and obviously a running game as good as Drake Youngberg has been this season for him, I think that you can rely heavily on your backfield. And I'd like to also point out some of the wide receivers are both juniors coming into this game and not having any playoff experience.
So we have a timeout called by Westlake as the play clock was running down, and we will take one with them. We're just off and running here in the second quarter. Back after this word from Odeon Modern Missionary Wear on the Rewind Sports Network. Alexander Timolip, Ty Wilkinson off the timeout by Westlake. Starting from the 20-yard line following the kickoff. Play action, Bayless looking, and he gets dropped. No more time on that one. Drew Dickey struck midnight on him.
No more time indeed, Alex. What a sack in the backfield. And that's not an easy takedown either, considering the size of Drew Bayless.
Yeah, definitely not an easy takedown of Aiden Bayless right there. Drew Dickey, one of the senior captains for defensive coordinator Chris Busing. Second down after the sack. Here's Youngberg right side. And Tyson Eggett gets over there, among others, to bring him down, but there's a flag down in the backfield. And Westlake trying to do their very best right now, Ty, to hold up against this AF defense, which is just coming in waves right now. I mean, Chris Busing just sending the whole house and then some.
Just a little bit extra, too, it feels like. What's interesting, Alex, is Westlake, it seems like they're slowly, I say very, very slowly, starting to deteriorate on their offense, because it doesn't seem like it seems like they're running the same play routes that they've been running throughout the course of the night. And obviously, they're playing really, really far behind their sticks. The game is obviously not over. There's still a lot of quarters to play. But I think this momentum gain needs to be really more prevalent if they want to stick with it.
Second down and long now. Second down and about a mile as Bayless screens it to Youngberg, and he gets drilled. That was Dax Watts who came screaming up from that strong safety position to whack him. And now it's going to be third down and long here for the Thunder. Westlake just trying to hang in there right now, as we're just barely off and running here in the second quarter. Triple wide receiver to the right here on third down and 20. Just a three-man rush. Bayless steps up, rolls to his right, now across the line of scrimmage, just going to take off and run. And he's just scored it out of bounds at about the 21-yard line, so he picks up the penalty yards back, plus a couple more. And it will be fourth down, and Westlake goes 3 and out.
And that's a good run, Alex, because you don't want to be punting out of your own end zone, especially when that wind is facing towards your face. That can affect the punt in either a very negative or sometimes a very positive way, depending on how you look at it.
Well, either way, good luck, Aiden Bayless. As Aaron Beam, the head coach, was trotting down the sideline, I don't think AF had 10 people. Don't think AF had 11 people on the field. They actually had 12. But like you said, Ty, as we are going to keep it here for this short timeout, Ty, the wind here is coming from just off the I would say the right facade of the Mount Timpanogos temple off that right side that we shot earlier, and it's going to be a little bit harder, and it's a little bit harder to also kick the football on a night like this.
And it's only getting colder and colder too. You talk about those football players that play in like Green Bay or one of these colder areas like Chicago, and it's like kicking a brick on your foot. So it's not going to get any easier as the night goes on, especially since this is October football. So it's going to be a lot more interesting.
Yeah, former Niners kicker Robbie Gould said once when he was kicking in that playoff game at Green Bay a couple of years ago, he said, I only know one thing, that my foot is going to be absolutely black and blue. Aiden Bayless to punt. Good snap. And it's a line drive wobbler into the wind. And it is caught and then getting smothered. Good coverage down there by that Westlake special teams. It was Pedersen, among others. And so, again, American Fork with excellent field position off that punt by Aiden Bayless, with a chance to go down and put some more points on the board.
Especially since you're across midfield, Alex. The first two drives that American Fork had started at the 40-yard line and one started at the 4. So now that you're at midfield, I think that's a pretty positive for American Fork to try to keep this drive alive.
Their worst field position was the 4-yard line, and they still scored. Story on first down throws, complete, sitting in the zone as Andrews breaks a tackle, still on his feet, and he gets escorted out of bounds. We talked about how tough Bayless is to bring down. Davis Andrews is just as tough to bring down.
And you say that too, like Davis Andrews, number 5, and he's really good. Because he's a veteran senior. He's been on this team since freshman year. He's got the experience, and he even has playoff experience too.
Yeah, Aaron Beam was just raving about him all season long. Story under pressure on second down, and he gets dropped. A coverage sack there for the Westlake Thunder, as it was Joe Powell and Drayson Ofuvai who stepped up to bring him down.
And here comes the test, Alex. 3rd down. You're within their territory already. This isn't necessarily an area where you can kick a field goal or try to go for it. I mean, you obviously can go for it. I feel like that would be a good idea. But this is going to prove how they can do during playoffs on 3rd down. And it's how it's such a big, essential aspect in how playoffs go for all teams, because 3rd downs are just that important to them.
Play clock down to 5. Man goes in motion to the right. Play clock down to 1. They just got it away. Story, quick pass on the middle. What a catch! Andrews! Aloha! Touchdown, American Fork! Number 5 with a rewind 5 play. His 2nd touchdown of the game. I could have sworn that was George Kittle out there for a second, Ty. What a catch!
Unbelievable.
Good snap, good hold. The extra point is good. 21-0 American Fork, asserting themselves as to why they are the number 1 seed and why they could very well be the favorites in 6A.
Tate Orchard with Advanced Window Products here to give you some tips on how to properly throw a spiral. Put your index finger near the tip, set your feet, and release. Ooh, didn't mean for that to happen. Luckily, Advanced Window Products can help you. Advanced Window Products is Utah's #1 replacement window manufacturer, and we are here to help you invest in your home. Whether it's replacing broken windows or just updating your home to new window technology. Call us today for a free no-pressure quote.
I'd like to thank Advanced Windows for their support of Rewind Sports Network coverage of playoff football. Well, the lights aren't too bright, are they, for Davis Andrews? What a catch.
Not quite.
Alexander Tsumub alongside Ty Wilkinson on top of the press box. Here at American Fork. Kickoff is a line drive that will go right through the back of the end zone. You know the old saying, Ty, get you a blank, blank, blank? I'm going to say it right now. Get you a guy who can play both ways and make big plays.
And for a good reason, too. You remember how we were talking about how this is going to be a big test of American Fork's 3rd downs and going into playoffs? Well, that's the way to get a 3rd down done right there. You throw it to number 5, Davis Andrews, number 5 in red. I don't think he's going to disappoint 9 times out of 10, and he's proved that so far tonight with 5 receptions and 2 touchdowns on the night.
And that was not an easy catch either, or an easy throw either by Story. Neither was that by Aiden Bayless, as Heiner gets shoved out of bounds after a pickup of 7. As Westlake trying to find some traction here in this first quarter, or this first half rather. They've had traction, but it was stymied by 2 turnovers. But they have been able to move the ball on this American Fork defense. 2nd down and 2 now from the 28-yard line. A little quarterback power here with Bayless. And he has the 1st down before the pile pushes him back on a pickup of 5. And the one thing you could say about this Westlake team, Ty, is that we've seen it. We saw it against Lone Peak, and we have seen a lot of these teams have seen it throughout the season. This Westlake team is tough. I mean, if you think Arnold Ale's team is going to roll over and die right now, that ain't going to happen.
No, I wouldn't say so at all, Alex.
Proof is in the pudding. They've been able to move the ball at will, really, against this American Fork defense. Save those 2 turnovers. Bayless on 1st down throws toward the sideline. And incomplete. Looking to throw it away in the direction of Heiner.
Well, Alex, in the 10 years that these two have been in almost pretty much the same conference, the Cavemen have won every time. The closest game that has happened was back in 2015. The score was 24-17, and the Cavemen ended up winning that one. But every single game that these 2 teams have played, I should say all basically 10 of them, This should be 11, considering this is the playoffs and this is the first time they've met each other. But every time, American Fork has come on top. Do you think that's a coincidence?
I think not.
Yeah.
In the words of that teacher from The Incredibles, second down and 10. Bayless. So much time he could probably peruse through a Brandon Sanderson library back there. He throws and it's caught. Or rather, it is incomplete and intended for Heiner. And that's the thing with this. And that's the thing with this Westlake team. Like, Bayless is getting time to throw back there. He just needs someone to throw it to.
Oh, he's got plenty of time, Alex. We've seen it time and time again. The offensive line has been so prevalent in just trying to get these drives a little bit further and further. It's just the amount of red that comes at you at that rapid pace and causing that brick wall.
On third down and 10, Bayless gets out of the pocket. This is what he can do. And he's going to slide. Where did he slide? Boy, he slid just at the marker, Ty. Remember, it's not where you end up on the slide. It's where you start it. And he barely got across before he started sliding.
Doesn't matter how you start. It's about how you finish.
I mean, I tell you what, he was inches away from not making it to that first down marker. Because remember, we keep iterating it, folks. The rule across football now is not where you start on a slide or a dive as a quarterback. It's where you end up. It's where you start. Little option here for Youngberg. Really the first time he's had the ball all night. He gets about maybe 4 yards off left guard. Brought down by Dickey, among others.
And look who just came out for the defense. Mr. Davis Andrews again. This guy, he's been all over the place tonight, Alex. Every corner of the field, I think his foot has touched. And we're not even into the about halfway point of the second quarter, it feels like.
I just looked at you, and I just looked at Austin Bigelow over here, our cameraman. I'm going to bet right now he gets another interception.
Well, there's a reason he's out there, and that's because Westlake's pushing across midfield.
Yeah, a little cover 2 soft shell coverage right now for Bayless as he rolls to his right, lobs it. Dangerous pass, incomplete. Intended for Ezra Heiner, and it will bring up another third down here for Westlake. Maybe not the area where you would consider going for it on fourth down, but given it's a 21-0 game and under 7 to go here in the third, or the second, you might think about it. As the fans turn up the volume knob here at AF. Blitz, flag down. And Bayless goes down with them. There is a flag down at the line of scrimmage. We'll see what the penalty marker is, though. Chris Swank, again, our referee. And it was an illegal formation against Westlake, so it'll be fourth down. That's the second sack of the night for the American Fork Cavemen. .6:36 to go. Bayless now will punt from his 25 win going into his face. Good snap. And it's a line drive that is caught on the run and getting over the 40. And getting clobbered by a host of white shirts right there is number 16 for American Fork. That is Cade Wilkinson.
Gotta love that last name.
I was not going to say it, but I was not going to say it, but I was about to point it out. Probably may or may not be related to Ty Wilkinson up here.
We'll have to check ancestry here later, Alex.
We'll have to ask Dylan Story after the game.
Yeah. I'm going to guess no, because I'm not very good at football.
Well, neither am I, so get in line. Anyway, Story here on first down. Throws up the seam route, and that is just overthrown, incomplete. Threw it actually into double coverage. It was intended for Nelson, or actually Josh Andrus, who again led the team out on the field carrying the spear.
Well, Alex, when you take a look at this lineup on paper, the amount of touchdowns that this team has as a whole. Jet Nelson has 6. Josh Andrus has 7. Davis Andrews has 9. I mean, Dylan Story has 28 receptions for touchdowns. Like, this team is just unbelievably stacked. And I didn't even mention Eardley either.
Speaking of, here he is. And he's got a first down across midfield, right on cue. Got a first down onto the 45-yard line on that screen play. As this American Fork offense just keeps on chugging. Quickly they snap the ball. Nickel blitz coming. Throw. That is incomplete. Maybe went a little too quick that time to Dylan Story. It'll bring up second down and 10. As we keep pointing out, American Fork's drives all started close to or inside of midfield. The only drive that started outside of midfield was on the 4-yard line, and they still ended up scoring. Davis Andrews has 2 touchdowns tonight. Handoff on this play goes to Watts. And a good ankle tackle there as Dax Watts picks up about 5 yards. And they'll bring up another third down here. Brought down on the play by Finn Maurer. Another third down coming up here for the American Fork Cavemen, who lead 21-0 as we are under 6 minutes to go here in this first half. Interesting formation. 4 wide receivers stacked up to the left. Story looks up the seam, throws, and it's incomplete. Looking up the seam for that tight end. Running that seam route. Number 87. And number 87 is Landon Payne, the 6'6 senior. It'll be fourth down, and we'll see what Michael Hunsaker and Coach Aaron Bean decide to do here.
Well, it wasn't pretty, but it was smart. I'd like to say it was like a little flying V formation, as now they're running a 2-receiver set.
Kind of looks like the same formation again on fourth down. They are going to go for it, and the pass is caught. And breaking tackles. And getting a first down is Wilkinson. Inside the 30, they needed 6. They picked up 12 on the play. And I can't see it out the corner of my eye here because my hood's covering it, but I'm sure Ty was probably pumping his fist after that play. Anyway, 1st and 10 from the Westlake 29. Quick throw in the flat, complete to Andrews. Andrews trying to stay on his feet, and then he gets brought down out of bounds by a host of white shirts after the play. We should point out, Ty, you brought it up earlier, Davis Andrews now has 6 catches, and he has 2 touchdowns on the night, and he's over 100 yards receiving, and he's got an interception.
And you didn't mention that it's not the end of the second quarter yet.
Yes, and it's not the end of the second quarter. I mean, he is such a dynamic weapon.
You're talking about a clutch playoff player. Watch this, they're going to go to him.
There he goes. Story going to throw for him, but that throw is a little bit too far out of the end zone.
You could tell he wanted him the entire time, too.
Yeah.
He hesitated at first, and then he was like, no, I want to go back to him again. Unfortunately, coverage is a little bit too prevalent in the backfield. As you can see, now Westlake is starting to use them on double coverage. But it looks like he's going to set out this play.
Sorry to step on you there for a second, Ty, but in this first half, American Fork 3 of 5 on third downs. And one of them was the touchdown to Davis Andrews. Watts on third down. He's got a hole. Dax Watts. Touchdown. And the beat goes on for the AF offense. Down the field they go as Dax Watts joins in on the fun. And with the extra point to come, American Fork about to go up 28-0. Good snap, good hold, and the extra point is up, and it is good. 28-0, American Fork leads Westlake. We'll be back after this word. We'll be back after this word from Igloo Outfitters on the Rewind Sports Network. I'd like to thank Igloo for their sponsorship of Rewind Sports Network coverage of the UHSAA playoffs all school year long. Alexander Timolip, Ty Wilkinson. Wouldn't we like to have Igloos right now on this 44-degree night, temperature dropping into the high 30s later on tonight. We also like to remind you, earlier we brought up Advanced Windows. Advanced Windows is having their fall window sale still going on right now. You can get $2,000 off 10 windows or more with 60%, with 0% interest for 60 months financing. Why can't I ever say that? So confusing, that line. But anyway, 0% interest for 60 months financing available only for a limited time. Call 801-850-9100 for your chance to get in on the Advanced Windows fall window sale. As the full moon begins to rise over the Timpanogos mountain range, here's Drake Youngberg breaking off a run. And Youngberg gets tripped up after a pickup of about 8 yards by, guess who? Davis Andrews. So, Ty, I turn to you now. I mean, if you're Westlake at this point, you've been able to move the ball against this Caveman defense. It would do wonders for you here if you could get at least one score here, because this offense really deserves it.
I would say so, too, just because of the amount of formations that they keep running. I mean, you can see now American Fork has just been able to apply pressure and not giving Aiden Bayless any time to run the ball at all. So I guess that's an unfortunate aspect for him, that he's not able to get the plays off. But when your defense is as good as American Fork is being, applying that pressure, and they're not even running blitz. That's what's more impressive to me, is because they're not running the blitz, even though they're still not giving Aiden Bayless any time to run or do pretty much anything with the ball, it feels like. They're just denying him all aspects of the ball.
They still have been able to run the ball fairly effectively, though. 5-man rush coming on Bayless, and he gets blown up. Whoo, you talk about getting smoked in the backfield. I mean, he got hammered. Take your pick. Everybody was in on him their time.
I'm trying to clock in right now, Alex. I think he's getting about 1.5 seconds to throw the ball on this defensive pressure that American Fork has been providing. That's not a lot of time as a quarterback, especially when you're relying so heavily on your offensive line to protect you.
That was Josh Andrus, along with Blake Jensen, who got in there. Again, Jensen, one of the speed rushers there for Chris Busing's defense.
Interesting. Empty backfield here, Alex.
Could be a pass formation. It is. Bayless has to bail. Bayless throws wide open up the sideline. And boy, there was some busted coverage there. That was rather unfortunate. Andrews had to come over to shove Peyton Barkley out of bounds, but not before he picked up another first down gain of almost 20 yards. And it's those little things like that that are going to drive defensive coordinator Chris Busing crazy there, Ty.
And now Westlake is at the spot where I like to call the danger zone. We saw it against Lone Peak. The 40-yard line, for whatever reason, treated Westlake so well against Lone Peak. Let's see if that's the case against American Fork.
Bayless to throw on first down. That pass is caught. That's Fall Musili. Griffin Fall Musili. Out of bounds inside the 5. I said it before. I'll say it again, Ty Wilkinson. You have been hanging around with Tony Romo way too much.
Or I predict the future. One of the two. What an amazing run. As I said, that 40-yard line just treats them well. I don't know what it is. The teams that they play, once they get to around that area, doesn't matter who they're facing. I guess it's supposed. And now if you're Westlake, you're in red zone territory. You did not have a good red zone offense as we saw against Lone Peak. I keep referring back to the Lone Peak game, but let's see if they can actually get across the line of scrimmage here.
Well, they're going to get at least inside the 5. Drake Youngberg. That was a 54-yard gain by Griffin Fall Musili. And boy, how Westlake missed him in that game against Lone Peak. When, like you said, they had just so many opportunities to cash in, Ty. And without Fall Musili in the lineup, their offense just really had a hard time finding other weapons to open up the playbook. Under 2 minutes to go here in the quarter. And Bayless tried to take the quick snap. And that got stood up pretty quickly. And now it's third down and about 2 yards to go for Westlake. And before that, we're going to have a timeout by head coach Arnold Ale. Clock officially reads 1 minute 14 seconds left. And when we come back, we'll have a third down here for this Westlake Thunder offense. Trying to punch it in. Boy, how fortunate are we to work with such great cameramen like Austin Bigelow. Beautiful shot of the full moon here at American Fork. Meanwhile, Westlake trying to punch it in on this third down following the timeout. Bayless to throw. End zone. Broken up. Threw it a little bit behind Griffin Falmo Seeley. But great coverage on the play there by Yifo Agor, or rather it was Damian Wilkinson, one of the corners. And now it's fourth down here for Westlake.
The question is, what is Vei Ta, the offensive coordinator, going to apply for this offense? You need points and you need them fast. Field goals aren't going to do anything. And you have so much versatility and so much options to either throw the ball or run to. But you only get one play and one play only and one play left.
Bayless to throw. Stops. Comes back to the right. Lobs it up in the end zone. It's a jump ball. And it's broken up. Doesn't matter, though. It'll be a turnover on downs either way. And the American Fork defense once again shuts the door. Again, it was Dax Watts and Blake Jensen applying the pressure. And how about that American Fork defense standing up twice inside the red zone to shut the door on Westlake?
And Bayless, he's been all over the field tonight, it feels like. It's very interesting because I don't know, Alex. He's been knocked down quite a few times, so I think the offensive line is just starting to get tired and tired as this night is going on.
So from the one now, this officially the worst starting field position. Doesn't matter. They're going to throw, and it's off the fingertips of Max Edwards. Boy, Ty, there's a saying we have in Hawaii when they run the run and shoot offense. Any coach that's running the run and shoot, it's either June would throw, Rolo would throw, Timmy would throw. I guess Micah Hunsaker would throw on the 1 yard line. 58 seconds left. As I think Dylan Story going to try to see if he can't get some extra room here for his punter. Westlake still has 2 timeouts. Story doesn't matter, though, still wants to throw. Gets out of the end zone, and he's going to be brought down after a pickup of maybe a yard, as there was nowhere to throw it down the field. And there are less than 45 seconds to go here in the first half. We'll see how aggressive Aaron Beam wants to be here. Play clock reached 24 here inside the stadium. Third down and 9 for Dylan Story. Story to throw. Throws on the middle. That pass is caught. What a hit. As getting planted there was Wilkinson. And with the clock running at 15, I don't think American Fork is going to run another play. As we have whistles from the back. And a timeout is called by Westlake with 7 seconds left here in the first half. So, Ty, general observations from this American Fork offense. You can see why they are the number 1 team right now in 6A. They are rolling and they are steaming, and they are just steaming right along.
And they haven't shown me a reason why they shouldn't be a decent playoff contender. Every scenario that you can get into as a football team, I think they've been able to overcome very significantly. We talked about the third down play right at about midfield, and then always Davis Andrews. I mean, as I've seen and as I've learned so far throughout the course of tonight, and we're only barely even going into halftime, Davis Andrews, he's the key player. And if Dylan Story can keep throwing to him, and if you got that chemistry and it's working for you, I don't see why you stop that rolling train.
He has 6 catches, 2 touchdowns. He's already over 100 yards receiving. As American Fork is just going to punt it out of the end zone. Don't want to risk taking a safety with an intentional grounding penalty this close to the end zone. Because the other safe, the other safe play will be to roll right and throw out of bounds. Instead, they're just going to punt it. It's a bit of a shank. And it's going to take a AF roll. As the siren goes, the punt will die at the 39-yard line. So officially a 56-yard punt, no return. Doesn't matter because we've reached the interval with American Fork leading 28-0. And Ty, you have to say, it's been business as usual for AF, and they are showing you why here in the first half.
And, well, Alex, here's a storyline we haven't touched on today. It's the curse of round 2 playoffs. This isn't round 2, obviously. They're hopefully get past round 1, but the curse of round 2, they are 0-3 of their last 3 playoff games in round 2, and I think they have something to prove, Alex. I think this is a different team. I think it's very versatile. I think you have lots of guys who have lots of experience. I mean, you have a junior, Cade Wilkinson, who has... Sorry, I mean, not Cade Wilkinson. It's
It is Cade Wilkinson.
Yeah, it is Cade Wilkinson. 3 games on JV and has playoff experience in all 3 of them. So I think the fact that American Fork has had such a good program and kept these players for so long, I think this is the perfect storm. They're all seniors. Most of them are seniors, I should say. And I think this is a really big last dance scenario because the Cavemen have been so good this season.
The Cavemen are men on a mission. Are they destined to meet Corner Canyon in the final? Well, time will tell, but right now they're showing everybody in 6A why they are the best team coming out of the regular season. American Fork leads Westlake 28-0 on cruise control here in the first half. When we come back, we'll be back for the second half, and hopefully we'll get an Igloo Outfitters or 2 up here in the press box. We'll be back on the Rewind Sports Network. Ready or not, here we go for the second half of football. This is the UHSAA playoffs on KSL Sports Rewind. Our coverage is presented by UCCU, and it's part of American Fork football presented by Heidemann and Associates, with the number 1 seed, American Fork, leading Westlake 28-0 here as we start the second half. Alexander Timothy alongside my broadcast partner, Ty Wilkinson, on this beautiful full moon night here at the foot of the Wasatch Mountains. So, Ty, it's gone about as we expected here in the second half, at least in the first half, but you have to say the story of the first half has been more so how complete the performance has been by the American Fork Cavemen on both ends of the field.
And Story, no pun intended, Dylan Story making the storyline here today. Well, it's him and Davis Andrews, it feels like, but 2 players I think that would need to step up in situations like this during the playoffs. Your defense is very heavily reliable considering you've sacked, what's his name?
Aiden Bayless.
Aiden Bayless already 3 times tonight. So your defense is reliable, you know that. But can your offense score points is the question. At the end of the day, who can get the most points? And I think that Dylan Story and Mr. Davis Andrews have been able to prove that they are the capable ones.
Now let's stay on that point for just a little bit here, because we still have a few seconds here before the second half kicks off. Again, Westlake going to get the football to start the second half. American Fork, really a lot of people were questioning whether or not they should have been ranked number 1 in the RPI after their win against Skyridge in overtime here a couple of weeks ago. But Ty, the fact of the matter is, if you look at the pedigree and the teams that American Fork has beaten, I mean, AF beat Skyridge in overtime, and then they pasted Lehigh. Lehigh was no slouch either. Lehigh, first season in 6A, they got 8 wins. And Lehigh got pasted for 62 points here a few weeks ago on the Cavemen's home field.
And the reason why that's so good, Alex, is that you're already playing these difficult teams that you probably will see in the playoffs, more likely than not, to say the least. You already get that experience during the regular season. You've been playing those 10 games against these difficult teams, and the road ain't going to get any easier the further the playoffs goes. It's only going to get colder, and the teams are only going to get more and more competitive.
Now, speaking of competitive, of course, we have to highlight the Westlake Thunder. Even though it's 28-0, and the score might not, the scorebug might not say as much, but, you know, coming into this season, a lot of people said this Westlake team is tough to play against. They just don't give up, and they don't give up a whole bunch to their opponents. And you really have to look at, you know, this Westlake team. What has impressed you the most about seeing this Westlake team these last 2 games that we've gotten to see them?
The most impressive thing I've been able to see is that Aiden Bayless is able to make the plays happen on the fly. I mean, he's not given very many seconds during this game. We only counted about 1.5. But in the other games that he's played, and sometimes in this, the amount of pressure that he receives and what he's able to accomplish via the pressure that he does receive is impressive to me, because he gets out of pockets so easily. And I don't know, I also like Youngberg in the backfield too. As I mentioned during the Lone Peak game, this is a very run-oriented team, but they can also throw the ball when you least expect it. And sometimes those sweet plays to Youngberg kind of give you the first downs and give you the motivation you needed. We saw it almost on that 40-yard line that we talked about that pays so well to Westlake, and as we've seen against Lone Peak. I don't know what it is about that 40-yard line, Alex, though, but something.
Well, we said it was, remember against Pace, between Timpanogos and Pace, and we said it was a force field, and now the last 2 games we called together, we've talked about how it's been a benefit to the other team that's been on the plus side of the 40. Like we said, Westlake gets the ball to start the second half. Alexander Timolep and Ty Wilkinson, the voices you're hearing on this pleasant Friday night with temperatures dipping into the high 30s here in American Fork.
Well, where else would you rather be?
Yeah, really, where else would you rather be on a full moon night like this? Kickoff goes once again through the end zone, and that will bring out this Westlake offense once more. And, you know, what we talked about, so impressive, this Westlake offense is just their ability to run the football. And I don't mean to make, and, you know, I'm going to stay away from the comparisons. So, you know, what do you think this Westlake, what do you want to see from this Westlake offense here in the second half?
I need to see a lot more passing plays. I've seen a lot of empty coverage that Aiden Bayless has been able to play. You see these 5 receiver sets. I'm expecting to see a lot more pass plays, as we'll probably see one right here.
And we do see one with Ezra Heiner making the catch and turning off field. And he's got a first down up to about the 31-yard line, brought down on the play by Di Jensen and others.
And the reason I say that, Alex, is that you have to pass the ball so much more often, is the Cavemen have just caused this red brick wall for this run game, and they have kind of just predicted everything that Westlake has tried to prove and tried to get across, except for about 2 or 3 plays in towards the beginning of the quarter.
Well, they did have that big play with Griffin Fall-Mosili toward the end of that first half. 4-man rush against Bayless. Steps back, throws, and a dangerous pass into coverage, incomplete. I think he was trying to find Peyton Barkley and ended up throwing it almost into coverage.
As I think offensive coordinator Vayton was listening to me about the pass game. Already two pass attempts just in this quarter alone on this drive.
And it kind of does tell you how aggressive you would expect Westlake to be here in the second half. Just underway here in this third quarter, 28-0 in favor of AF. Bayless looking, throws into coverage, coming back for it and trying to adjust and make the catch is incomplete. Was Ezra Heiner. Westlake sideline looking for a flag. They're not going to get it. Looked pretty clean to me from up here, Ty. Just looked like there was a lot of hand fighting there on that route.
And Kay, so this is why I said they got to pass the ball a lot more often. The coverage in the secondary has not been as good, I think, for American Fork as most think it has been. The amount of yards that I think the defense has given up just in the secondary alone is mainly on pass plays. But this is the playoffs, and that does give you the experience going into the later rounds if you can get across that threshold.
Bayless, quarterback draw, trying to pick up as much as he can. He's going to do that, and then some. Makes a couple of men miss, and he's going to pick up about 15 up to close to midfield. So we talked about the running ability of Bayless. That time he picks up a first down. They needed 10. He picks up 15.
It's so cool to me to watch Aiden Bayless because he uses his cleats to his advantage. He makes men miss, and it's so interesting to watch. You don't see Deeks very often by a quarterback on the run game. You'll usually see a slide. He goes for it all.
Youngberg checks the handoff. Nice move to the inside. He's going to get brought down after a pickup of about 2 yards on the play. And again, a good job of setting that edge that time by that American Fork defense.
Working in the cleats and working in handiwork at the same time, it feels like.
Certainly does. from midfield now, first or second and 8 rather for Westlake. Third time they have been across midfield here tonight. On four of their drives, 3 of them across midfield. Bayless looking to pitch. A little bit of a high pitch. Youngberg's in trouble. Stiff arms a man and gets out of bounds at about the original line of scrimmage. They'll give him a yard. And that had Danger Will Robinson written all over it, Ty. I mean, that pitch did not come out very cleanly, but Youngberg able to make the most out of it.
Well, it wasn't pretty, but you still get a yard out of it. And as we say, this game is a game of inches, so every yard that you can take if you're Westlake down 28-0, I think you can take as a win and an advantage to you, just considering that now you're across midfield, Alex. You're in their territory. So I think you need to get a more explosive offense. What's interesting, though, is they've run the ball, it feels like. They did 3 passing plays in a row, but ever since then they've ran the ball.
Bayless is going to throw here on third down, and he's going to throw. He's got Hyder open, trying to come back for it, but he ended up running into the defender, and it's knocked down incomplete. And it'll bring up 4th down, and a very interesting call coming up here for head coach Arnold Ale and his offensive staff.
The wind definitely had effect on that ball, too, trying to get over across.
Yeah, it definitely did. It floated up there, and
it had the distance, and then you just saw it just slowly deteriorate and come slower and slower to a stop.
And it looks like Westlake is going to wave the flag and just punt. Trust their defense to try to get a stop here and flip the field. Bayless is going to throw. It is caught, and it's going to be short. That didn't fool anybody on that play. As that American Fork defense once again shuts the door, as that Westlake offense try to get a little tricky. A little too tricky for their own good right there.
Are they not calm and collected, Alex? I saw no celebration on that play whatsoever. It was just like another play just happened. This team is ready to take this playoff and try to take it into a really, really, really deep playoff run. They are serious, and you can see it.
And you can feel it, too, in the stands. I mean, like, not even... I mean, it's like everybody expected the fake it. Everybody expected they were going to make the stop. Here's Story for Nelson. Just overthrown. What a call there by Micah Hunsaker, trying to take a shot down the field after a big stop like that. But, Ty, that's in the statistics. You do that. You take a big shot down the field after a stop. We haven't heard Jet Nelson's name called a lot. It's been really Davis Andrews that's had the dominance of the play here this evening, but he had one big catch earlier, that 38-yard catch that got him down to the 1 to set up the touchdown run by Dax Watts. Here's a handoff to Yeardley on 2nd down. And he's going to get across midfield to about the, call it maybe the 49-yard line. They'll mark it officially at the 48 1/4. Bring a 3rd down at about maybe 5. Third down and 4. Yeardley up the middle, and he gets it on 2nd effort, gets the 1st down.
And Alex, like I said, American Fork able to get all of these playoff-like scenarios that you can get. A fake punt, 3rd down conversion, lots of 1st downs, drives from the 4-yard line. I think that's the itinerary that you need and the statistic that you would want, as well as the expectation that you would have for this team as well.
From the gun, Dylan Story. Play action. Plenty of time.
Looking deep, too.
He's going to throw underneath. That's complete. That is Andrus breaking tackles. And Andrus is escorted out of bounds after a pickup of about maybe 17. As the beat goes on for that American Fork offense. I mean, they are just like a well-oiled machine right now, this American Fork team. Story from the gun, hands to Yeardley on 1st down. This time he gets stood up after about maybe 2 on the play. Don't worry, folks. I'm allowing Ty to jump in here. Just that American Fork is running a lot of these same offenses that a lot of the schools around Utah are running, the spread option. Here, our Story on second down throws. It's incomplete. Pressure was on that time. Knocked to the ground that time by Beckham Featherstone, number 87. That's really the first time Story's been pressured all night long, Ty.
And this offensive line has been able to be really, really prevalent, especially against this really talented, I would say, Westlake defensive line. And the reason why that's so good is because you don't want your quarterback to get injured, especially going into just now the first round of the playoffs. And it's cold, too, so injuries are just going to hurt more and more.
They stunt the front on third down. Story to his right, throws on the run, incomplete. Coverage was good downfield. And it'll be fourth down from about the 27-ish yard line. They're within reasonable field goal range with the wind at the back. But it doesn't look like AF is going to go that route. They're going to go for it here on fourth down and, say about maybe 8. Not wanting to take a risk with the field goal. It'd be a 45-yard attempt from here. Story, pressure, throws, wide side, and it's broken up. And it was intended, it looked like, for Andrews on that far side. It is Andrews getting up. Got up slow, but he's okay. And the Westlake Thunder defense says to the American Fork offense, ole. And they shut the door. They will turn it over on downs. This is a good time to remind you, Heidemann & Associates is a proud sponsor of the UHSAA playoffs on KSL Sports Rewind. The full-service law firm that is fully committed to winning for you. Call them today at 801-472-7742 to schedule your free consultation with Justin Heidemann & Co. Bayless under siege, and the ball comes out! And I think Westlake got back on top of the pigskin, and they did. Counted up as the 4th sack of the night. Again, it was Andrews. Josh Andrews, number 8, that came from that blind side. I mean, that American Fork defense is just relentless right now, Ty. Just coming after Bayless in waves.
And Bayless, he's struggled with that pressure a lot more. And you can't really blame the defensive line either. It's just, I don't know. Your offensive line has been struggling a little bit to try to keep you away from all these really good, talented players.
Youngberg takes the handoff up the middle for about maybe 2 to bring up another third down and long here for the Westlake Thunder, who are trying to get some traction and trying to get on the board at least here in this playoff game. Westlake, by the way, had scored on their region opponents in every game during region, but tonight was the first time against a Region 3 opponent that they did not score first. As they're facing another third down and long. 5-man rush on Bayless. He bails out to his left, and he is going to be escorted out of bounds, but not enough to pick up the first down. He'll be out of bounds at the 32, maybe the 33-yard line. And we're going to see how aggressive Westlake wants to be. They're deep in their own territory on the 33-yard line. It's fourth down at about maybe 3, Ty. I mean, how aggressive do you get here if you're the Westlake offense, even though your defense has shown it can hold up?
Well, if you take a look at Westlake, you're kind of running out of time here. You're sitting with 6:42 left in the third, which is about, I'd say, a quarter and a half time just to try to get at least a drive or 2 in. So I think you got to go for it on situations like this.
Bayless is going to try to go for it. He's going to try to run after wanting to pass it, and he's going to pick up the first down, and then some as he's escorted out of bounds close to midfield. And again, it's that running ability of Bayless that has just caused problems for AF all night.
But it's the pressure that applied. It's just been so scary. I mean, you take a look at some of those guys on there. You're sitting about 250 pounds of just pure muscle just coming at you like a freight train. Here you are, Aiden Bayless. You got the legs, and you're like, I want to get out of here as soon as possible. And I think that's where Aiden Bayless has the advantage, is that they can't catch up with him.
From midfield now. Hand off to Youngberg. And he's going to just try to shove the pile forward. create 3 yards in a cloud of dust. He'll pick up about maybe a couple on the play. 2nd down, 8 coming up here for Westlake, who, like we said, Ty, has crossed midfield 4 of their 6 drives here tonight. And you have to say, there's nothing for them not to come out of here with their heads held high. They have battled tooth and nail with this American 4 team here tonight. Bayless keeps it on the option. And he gets the first down before he slides at about the 38-yard line. That'll be a first down. And that's a similar type of play, Ty, that we saw Bayless score on a couple of weeks ago against LP, where he took the option and took off into that secondary.
He's just so fast whenever you watch him, too. Whenever you see him run, he finds these routes. It feels like he always tries to find the gap between areas that some would think quarterbacks can't find. But I think that's just what he's able to do. He's got that running back mentality, especially as a quarterback. And he's just so fast, too, when you see him run.
4 wide receivers in the set for Bayless on 1st and 10. Again, that right side opens up. And he's going to get escorted out of bounds again at about the 32-yard line. So he picks up another 6 yards on the play, virtually uncontested. I mean, that whole right side, Ty, just opens up and he just takes off.
Well, Bayless and co. right now, it's a one-guy show. Bayless keeping the ball himself, it feels like, most of the duration of this drive, especially on some of the first downs that they've gotten. And I think that's trying to become a little bit more of a common strategy now that Westlake is trying to do. You've reached desperation mode, closing into the closing minutes of the 3rd quarter and going into the 4th.
Bayless is going to throw. Pressure comes. Tried to screen it to Youngberg. He had it set up. Boy. He's going to bring a 3rd down, Ty, but you have to say there was a lot of green grass for Drake Youngberg to rumble down that sideline if that pass was completed.
And what's interesting here, too, is that the Cavemen, they apply the blitz, but they have been only able to get the sack about 3 times that I've seen. But what's interesting, too, Alex, is on these blitzes, he gets more opportunities to run because they're trying to run toward him, which opens a gap on the corners.
Bayless, good protection this time. Fires, got a man open! And Ezra Heiner has the touchdown for the Westlake Thunder! And Heiner with his 4th touchdown catch of the season, and the Westlake Thunder do indeed get that much-deserved touchdown. And Ty, you have to say, it was a long time coming for that Westlake offense because they deserve to get a result out of the drives they've had. Extra point is up, and it is good. So Westlake against the scoreboard late here in the 3rd quarter, 28-7. Now your score as we take a break on this frigid night here in the Fork. Well, Austin Bigelow coming up trumps again with another beautiful shot, this time of the Mount Timpanogos Temple off in the distance on this cold night here in American Fork. 28-7 is our score. Westlake finally getting in the end zone. A much-deserved touchdown for the Thunder. As Alexander Tumulip, the voice you're hearing, joined by Ty Wilkinson here in the press box. As the kickoff will be taken at the 4 by Andrews. Left side. 40. And out of bounds close to the 40-yard line before he's escorted out by the kicker. And Ty, you wanted to touch on that, how it's been a long time coming for that Westlake offense to get in the end zone. They really deserve something for all the stuff all the drives they've had tonight. They really have deserved that touchdown they got on that last drive.
And it feels like, Alex, that they've gone through every possible play in their itinerary, that they kind of just resorted to Aiden Bayless on the run, on the blitzes too. And the reason why I say it's on the blitz is whenever it's on the blitz, you have that pressure coming towards you. He has the opportunity to go on the right or left. He can pick one or the other, and he's probably almost guaranteed that first down, at least we saw in that drive.
Story throws low on 1st down, but the pass is caught by Nelson. Nelson gets up a little slow on that far sideline. Again, it's a cold night here in AF. Game time temperature was about 47 degrees. Real feel was 44, but it's expected to drop into the high 30s And the clouds are supposed to increase later tonight. And we could have rain in the forecast after this game is done. Well, we have a rain of a different kind right now as we have an offside against Westlake. And that will give AF a first down across midfield. 4 minutes and 27 on a rolling clock here in the third quarter. Alexander Timolette, Ty Wilkinson with Austin Bigelow on the camera. Here's Eardley on the handoff. Just gets behind that right guard and pushes the pile forward for about maybe 5 yards.
And American Fork just making it look like business as usual. Something I wanted to touch on real quick, Alex, is that American Fork has only had 1 flag against them all game. So the fact that they are getting that positive yardage courtesy of the other team's penalties shows that you're doing really well on not trying to get any penalty yards negated against you.
And there it is, another offside coming up against Westlake. And you kind of did have to feel, though, Ty, as you go palms upward to me here, but Ty, like, you have to feel like that was going to be the game plan coming in for Westlake, is you had to be this aggressive against this American Fork defense. And we've seen Westlake's defense, it's not like they haven't had free rushers coming off the edge sometimes against this offense, as Story hands off on 1st and 10 following the penalty. Here's Jacob Eardley. I almost said Dylan Eardley, excuse me. Dylan Eardley, Jacob Eardley, same thing, same result, first down. Want to remind people, of course, if we get to a 35-point scoreline, we're in the second half and the clock will start running unless it gets to 14. As American Fork trying to close out this third quarter with a touchdown and put themselves back up by 27 at least. On first down, here's Eardley left side. Gets a good block from Nelson, and he gets waffle boarded out of bounds at about the 17-yard line. Pickup of close to about maybe 8 yards there for Jacob Eardley, who, by all intents and purposes, Ty, probably has gone over 100 yards rushing on the night.
I would say so. Obviously, you don't have a statistician, but you can kind of just use your context clues at this point to see that he's been able to run the ball an insane amount. I mean, he's got an average about of 111, so if you're averaging that much, and I'm assuming that you could probably be getting that much in this game.
Where's the Pettingills when you need them?
That is true.
Shout out to Curtis and his wife, the Davis statisticians for basketball, as Eardley is going to be short of the first down. Good coverage closing that edge down by Nisi Tomoe Peo. It's really the first time that American Fork hasn't gotten much on the running game in short yardage situations, and now that brings up a third down here as we're under 3 minutes to go here in the third. They are within field goal range, reasonable field goal range. From here, it'll be about a 16-yard field goal. 16-yard field goal, I should say. It's actually a 34-yard field goal because you count from out the back of the end zone. Early, or rather play action. What a catch! Another one-handed grab at a first down. Landon Payne comes up with another one-handed catch. And it moves the sticks for AF. Their 6th third down conversion out of 8 on the night.
He was a forward on JV for basketball, and he's got the length in the arms, and he could just prove that he could do it too. Unbelievable catch. One-handed play. Gets him in red zone.
Yeah, Ryan Cuff might want to take a look at it. Maybe he could have some use on the varsity team this season. Of course, the Cavemen basketball team expected to be near the top of Region 3 as Eardley gets it on first down from inside the 15. He barrels forward, down to the 1, close to the 1-yard line. He'll be brought down at the 2. And it'll be first and goal for AF. As they're bringing in the jumbo guys, the T formation coming in here for AF. Dax Watts, Agate, among others in the backfield. We'll see who gets it this time out of the T formation. Eardley is the left side back. It's Eardley. Touchdown! Right up the driveway that time as American Fork reaches the end zone again. That is Eardley's second touchdown run of the evening, coupled with Davis Andrews' 2 touchdown catches on the night. It has been all business as usual for the American Fork Cavemen. The extra point is a low-line drive, but it is good. And it is 35-7 American Fork. Everything all coming up roses tonight for AF here in the Fork. Odeon Missionary, a proud sponsor of the Rewind Sports Network's coverage of UHSAA playoff football. A minute 27 to go here in the third quarter. Westlake and American Fork with the top-seeded Cavemen on cruise control here against the Thunder. Scored 28 points in the first half, and their second drive of the third quarter after Westlake scored promptly got them back in the end zone with another Jacob Early touchdown. This kickoff goes right through the end zone again. And the Thunder will bring it out to the 20. And Ty, you were talking about with me during the break something interesting about these score lines that these two teams have had over the last 3 meetings.
Yeah, in the past 2 years, Alex, in 2022, the American Fork Cavemen, they won the game 35-7 against Westlake. And earlier in this season, actually in October, the same month that we're in right now, they were defeated 38-7. Very reminiscent of today's game as you see the score 35-7. But there's still a whole lot of football to play, so I don't think this game is quite over yet.
Oh, like we always say, the fireworks aren't quite over just yet till the clock's hit triple zeros of the fourth quarter as Ezra Heiner, who caught the touchdown, picks up about maybe 5. As we approach 1 minute to go here in the third quarter, it looks like American Fork is on their way to advancing to the quarterfinals next week, where they'll face the winner of either Bingham or Syracuse. And that, Ty Wilkinson, is a tasty matchup between the Titans and the Miners. That game, of course, going on right now over on KSLSports.com and the KSL Plus app as Bayless try to get to that right side, and he goes nowhere. Stopped there by Max Edwards, among others. And we'll probably have one more play here before the end of the third quarter. It's a good time to remind you, Advanced Windows is having their fall window sale still on right now. $2,000 off 10 windows or more. You can get 0% interest for 60 months financing available when you call them at 801-850-9100 to get in on the Advanced Windows fall sale. Third down for Bayless. Quarterback draw. Now wants to throw and completes it. And a first down. Out of bounds, close to the 45-yard line. And on our roster, that's number 14. That is Jackson Lattimore with the catch. Clock shows 2 seconds left here in the third quarter. So this will likely all be the last play of the third quarter, barring a penalty. Triple wide receiver lines up to the left for Bayless. Bayless, sprint out to the left, comes back to his right, directing traffic, throws on the run, and coming back and making the catch is Lattimore. And he'll have the first down, and that will take us to the final 12 here tonight. Well, American Fork showing everybody in the state why they are the team to beat right now in 6A. They're up 35-7. On the Westlake Thunder, we head to the final 12 minutes of play on the Rewind Sports Network. Don't forget, coming up at the end of tonight's game, Ty and I will be selecting our choice for the Heidemann & Associates Player of the Game, presented by the Heidemann & Associates Law Firm, committed to winning for you, the client. Contact them today, 801-472-7742, or contact them online at utah.law to schedule your free consultation, courtesy of the Rewind Sports Network. Alexander Timolip and Ty Wilkinson here at American Fork High School, ready to start the final 12 minutes. Wherever you're joining us, we're glad you're here. As we're going to get an end around, and it's going to be a pass for Bayless up the sideline. A little trickeration that time, pulled out by Westlake. And this time it's Bayless on the receiving end of the pass from Mason Jenkins on a first down.
Well. Looks like we got a different team for the fourth quarter here, Alex. What a trick play. Lots of trickery in the backfield. That kind of just tricked up the Cavemen the entire way. Made him go left, made him go right. Down the center, Aiden Bayless gets the reception. And now you're in red zone, so I think you got to take advantage of this as much as you possibly can.
8th drive of the night for Westlake. 5 of them now have ended up past midfield. As Bayless looking, lobs one to the corner of the end zone. Is that caught? Is that caught by Youngberg? No, it is not. Out of bounds. Oh, boy, I thought he had it at that back pylon there, Ty.
The ball must have came out right at the end because he
must have come
convinced. Unfortunately, we do not have replay.
No, we do not have replay.
So we cannot see if that was in fact caught. Obviously, we can look back at the film and be like, oh, hey, this is caught. But unfortunately for Westlake, now you have to rely solely on trying to get that drive into the end zone. And that's just an unfortunate break because I think I'm pretty sure he had it. But again, referees make the call, and once they make the call, it's official.
They broke the huddle late, and they did not get the snap off in time. And it's going to be a delay of game against the Westlake Thunder. And like you said, Ty, a really unfortunate break because it looked like from up here, Youngberg came down with that ball in the end zone, but the signal was out of bounds. But the only reasonable explanation I can think of is that the ball must have hit the ground as he was coming down.
And unfortunately, this ruins Westlake's momentum that they had going into this drive on that trickery play, and now they're sitting behind their line of scrimmage.
High snap, throw is caught. That's Jenkins. A little bit out in front of him. We'll make a third down a little bit more manageable at the 12-yard line here as we approach 11 minutes to go and a 28-point game. You give credit to this Westlake team. I mean, these kids don't give up. And it looks like they're going to take a timeout here with 10:49 to go here in the fourth quarter. It's a good time to remind you the Advanced Windows fall window sale is going on right now. It's your last chance to get in on $2,000 off 10 windows or more. With 0% interest, 60 months financing. Call them today, 801-850-9100 to get in on the fall window sale. We're also presented by Igloo Outfitters, the most comfortable worn sleeping bag that has you covered during the chilly days and nights. Now you can watch the game in comfort and never miss the moments you were meant to see. Go to igluoutfitters.com and enter code REWIND for $20 off your order. And wouldn't we like to have an igloo right now where we're standing right here? Temperature clearly has dropped into the high 30s here. And the wind is...
It's getting into the later portion of October, going into November. It's only going to get colder from here, Alex.
Sure is. Third down and 8 now from the 12. All likelihood 4-down territory here for the Thunder, down 28. Bayless drops the snap, and he drops it again, and it's picked up by Edwards. Third turnover of the night for the Westlake Thunder. And Max Edwards comes up with a loose ball, who was playing in that nickel back position that I like to call the spear. And the Cavemen force another big stop inside the red zone, their third one tonight, Ty.
And this one looked like it was on the blitz too, Alex. I think the Cavemen just came out today proving that they are this capable playoff contender more than anything. We've seen time after time, play after play, drive after drive, conversion after conversion, whatever you want to say. I think they are legit, Alex, and this proves it that they are a reasonable and a powerhouse playoff contender going into this next playoff season.
Yep, you can definitely see why they were number one in the UHSA RPI coming into the playoffs as Yearly takes it on the sweep to the right side. As American Fork more focused now on eating the clock. Remember, when we get to that 35-point threshold, we will have a running clock for the remainder of this game. As we have a bit of a brief stoppage and we have an equipment problem. So it looks like Landon Payne's going to have to come out because his knees were not covered. So we'll try it again. 9:50 on a rolling clock. Going down to the end here. Yeardley, left side, gets to a gap. And he's going to be close to the first down. They're going to mark him right at the marker, and they're going to give it to him. And this American Fork offensive line tie just open up bigger and bigger holes as the night goes on. You can tell they're just imposing their will right now on this Westlake defense.
Well, it's a good news that their offense has been on the field for as long as it has, deteriorating every defensive proportion that Westlake has been able to attribute during the course of the game. And what's interesting is they've been able to find different aspects. As we mentioned, the amount of play calling, courtesy of the Cavemen offensive coordinator, is very interesting and very cool to watch.
Yeah, I talked about Michael Hunsaker ad nauseum as Yearly gets stuffed after a gain of a yard. Like, we talked about it, Ty. Like, this is a team that was middle of the pack, kind of meh last year in offense, number 12 in 6A. This year, they have just taken off under offensive coordinator Michael Hunsaker. I mean, he has opened up this offense really in ways I don't think anybody in this part of town has seen for quite a long time.
Well, and it's a reason that they're ranked number 1 in the state of Utah, and that's why. You played teams as difficult as they have played this year and have been able to conquer adversity and prove that you are, once again, the playoff-capable contender.
Yearly takes it left side this time. I mean, we keep bringing it up, Ty. I mean, they put up 62 points on Lehigh. And Lehigh is no slouch. I mean, Lehigh finished third in the RPI at 8-2 in their first year in 6A. So there's a reason why this American Fork team is dangerous.
And they can be dangerous when they want to or where they want to, especially at home, too. We mentioned 11-0 since 2021, and there's a reason for that. It's called home field advantage, and this has been proving to be the case. As you can see, the atmosphere and the fans that are supporting this Cavemen team, who have arguably had a very, very rough football season over the course of the years that they've played.
Third down, here's a handoff to Yeardley. Bounces off a couple of attackers, stays on his feet. Look at him drag the pile forward. Just non-stop power all the way inside the 35 and a first down. I mean, Jacob Yeardley, if no one has looked at this kid yet and given him an offer, they're nuts because this kid is good.
Well, you got to love physics too, Alex. The amount of inertia that was coming out of that run was absolutely incredible. Got through 3 defenders and did not want to fall down. The inertia took him all the way, and at that point, I don't think anything was going to stop him except for maybe gravity.
Or the turf monster.
Yeah.
As here he is again up the right side. This time he picks up about maybe 8 yards. As you would think, Yearly well over 100 yards rushing at this point. And Ty, I have to keep bringing it up because we have to keep saying it, but this American Fork team, like a lot of people were wondering if this team really had the chops to be number 1. We're seeing it right now, all over the field.
Inside and out, all around.
That's right. Second down and a yard. Here's Yeardley. And he's got the first down, approaching the red zone here for the American Fork Cavemen. The night got started early with Davis Andrews catching a touchdown pass. And then we had turnovers on 2 straight drives until American Fork finally punched it into the end zone to start the second quarter to go up 21-0. And it has been all Cavemen from that point on. As the Cavemen just going to let the clock run down inside of 7 minutes. Here's a handoff to Yeardley on a sweep to the near side. This time he gets cracked back by Beckham Featherstone, among others. And I'll bring up, says second down over there. I think it's going to be second down, or it could be third down. It's actually second. As Jacob Yearley will take his curtain call, and we would expect that might be the last time we see him here tonight, as Dax Watts will come in to relieve him now. Josh Andrews comes in motion to the near side. And again, it's a play action. Throw back to Andrews. It's incomplete. Story got hit late at the end of the play, but no flag. And it'll be third down and a long 8 here, or 9 for the American Fork Cavemen, who, by the way, Ty, have been fairly impressive on third down. 6 of 10 on third down here tonight.
Oh, yeah, the Cavemen, I mean, once again, we talked about those third down conversions that you can get and why it's so important in the playoffs. Because if you're getting 3 and outs every single drive, it's not going to work to your benefit. And I can say that as, well, Captain Obvious over here. Well, that's not going to work at all. But if you don't get those third downs at those essential points, it feels like it loses your momentum game.
As a touchdown is thrown to Josh Andrus. That is Dylan Story's 5th touchdown of the night. As with under 5 minutes to go here, or other 6 minutes to go here in this one, American Fork has reached 40. As the beat goes on here tonight for this American Fork offense. 4 touchdown passes tonight for Dylan Story. 2 to Davis Andrews, 1 to Josh Andrews. And 1 to Jet Nelson. The extra point is up, and it is good, and we have reached running clock territory, 42-7. It's All-American Fork here tonight. I'd like to thank Igloo Outfitters for their sponsorship of KSL Sports Rewind's coverage of UHSAA playoff football. It's all Cavemen here tonight, the number 1 seed dominating Westlake 42-7. Dylan Story with a hat trick of touchdown passes. 2 to Davis Andrews. 1 to Josh Andrews. And a hat trick of touchdown runs by Jacob Yearley. As the kickoff going into the wind down near that corner is taken on the run to Jenkins. Did he step on the sideline? Apparently he did it. And he gets one-on-one waffle boarded right there. What a tackle. As it was Wilkinson who came up on the Gunners on the special teams and made the hit. So as we've hit 35 points, the mercy rule is now in effect. The clock will only stop on penalties and timeouts. As it has been all American Fork here this evening. The 1st and 10 from the 21. Alexander Tumup alongside Ty Wilkinson. Bayless to run on 1st down. Wanted to actually throw. Comes back to the line of scrimmage now. Throws and just throws it away in the direction of his intended receiver. Clock will stop momentarily, and now they'll run it.
Interesting dynamic that they chose to do whenever you're up by a certain amount of points. I mean, I like the concept. I just thought that was interesting. I've never seen a league that would have done that before.
Well, while we have a moment, want to thank Austin Bigelow for his help on the camera tonight. Want to thank also Mike Christensen and Tino Psyche and Addison Kerr and all the men and women behind the scenes this week. As Bayless pump fakes on 2nd down, takes off, and struggles out close to the 25-yard line as the next snap will take the ball, or next snap of the ball will take us under 4 minutes.
Well, Alex, behind the scenes don't get enough credit as much as I think they deserve.
Yes.
Honestly. They're the ones that make it happen, honestly. We're just the ones who call what's going on. And, well, we just got to love the behind the scenes aspect.
And we would be very remiss if we didn't shout out Vince Francis, because the people don't realize the work that man puts in 24/7 to get these games out to the public here in Utah and around the world is a thing of beauty.
Well, not all heroes wear capes.
Yes, exactly. Bayless pump fakes on 3rd and long, tries to take off, he'll run, and he gets the first down. Clock will stop momentarily while they set the chains with 3:36 to go, and then they'll move it. I'd like to remind you, at the conclusion of the game, Ty and I will be selecting our choice for the Heidemann & Associates Player of the Game, presented by the full-service law firm, committed to winning for you, the client. And we will be back next week for more playoff action. American Fork will face the winner of Bingham or Syracuse.
That's going to get to November football. He's transitioned from October to November. It's only going to get colder. It's only going to get more intense.
Yeah, that Bingham team is going to be really dangerous. Whoever comes out of that game is going to be really, really dangerous, as Bayless throws up the sideline for Heiner, tries to reel it in with one hand, and we have a flag. Well, looked like Heiner's left hand was being held onto, but it looked like he was grabbing onto the defender at the same time, trying to draw that call. But either way, it's a pass interference against AF. Just the second penalty, like you said, Ty, of the night against the Cavemen. So, Ty, I know we'll talk about this ad nauseum in the postgame, but what did this American Fork team prove to you tonight, besides the fact that they are legitimately a threat to Corner Canyon now that we've seen here tonight?
They've proved that they are able to handle situations as best as they possibly can. And I think that I say that in a broader term just because of the first downs, the amount of third downs that they've been able to convert, the touchdowns that they had. I mean, courtesy of, well, Mr. Blake Andrews. I mean,
yes.
I'm sorry, Davis Andrews.
Davis Andrews, of course,
Andrews,
yes.
The man of the hour, I should say, of the past 2 hours, considering what they've been able to accomplish. But the defensive perspective, I think, has just been the most underrated aspect of this Cavemen defense, because they've held Mr. What's his name?
They've held Bayless, yes.
Sorry, they've held Bayless to, well, as many yards as you've been given. I mean, you've been given up a little bit of yards on the blitz, but still, the fact that you've held them to 4 sacks and a ton of pressure, I mean, causing fumbles too, just the fact that the defense has been able so prevalent, that complements the offense.
And it all goes to that defensive coordinator, Chris Busing, as Bayless gets out of the pocket, goes toward the sideline, gets the first down. As American Fork will win their 9th game of the season, or rather their 10th game of the season. And their only loss was to Lone Peak, of all teams, on the road back all the way in October, all the way at the beginning of October. They have been a much different team since that night in Highland, for sure. Bayless option keeper on first down, cuts it back. And he gets taken down by a host of red shirts at about the 24-ish yard line. Call it the 24.5. As we're under 1 minute to go, want to remind you that KSL Sports Rewind has you covered for all of championship week. The quarterfinals start next week. Check the game stream listings for the game you want to watch. All games are available on the KSL Plus app. They're also available on KSLSports.com. And stay tuned, folks, to see where Ty and I will go. Should be a very interesting slate of games in the quarterfinals, as Bayless, looking up the middle, throws a wobbler to the end zone. A lot of contact, and here comes another flag.
That was a little bit.
Yeah, that was a little bit obvious right there.
Don't be an actor if you're.
So this will be the second pass interference penalty of the night against American Fork on this drive alone.
Well, Alex, how nice is it that KSL offers basically a red zone experience for high school football? You can watch any game you want, anytime.
That's right.
They're playing. And since there's so many games going on, you could probably split screen pretty much every game if you want to try to watch it all at once. I'm sure there's someone out there. Shout out to whoever you are.
I mean, I was doing that. I was doing that on my couch for basketball last year. Shout out to Dusty and Jeff Hansen, of course, doing the KSL Sports Friday Night Red Zone. As Bayless takes it to the left, he will go out of bounds. Clock will stop momentarily with 18 seconds to go here in the ball game, as Westlake will try to put it in the end zone one more time before time runs out. And Westlake will call a timeout with 11 seconds left here in the game. I'd like to remind you once more, KSL Sports Rewind's coverage of UHSAA playoff football continues next week, Friday. Once again, check your local listing. Check the game stream listings on KSLSports.com. And also tune in live on the KSL Plus app. And if you can't decide which game to watch, like Ty said, join us for the KSL Sports Friday Night Red Zone for the last time in 2023, as Dusty and Jeff take you border to border across the Beehive State for all the playoff action you never knew you needed. We also want to remind you that coming up in 2 weeks' time, KSL Sports will have coverage of the 5A, 4A, and 6A semifinals and championship games. Stay tuned to see what Dusty and the boys have cooking up for you. It may involve a megacast. Final 15 seconds of this one. Bayless to throw. Throws to the end zone for Heiner. And it is incomplete.
Well, Alex, I have to ask, what number game are you on calling?
Yeah, I knew you were going to bring this up.
Yeah, I knew. I had to bring it up. 4.9 seconds.
Yes,
the last part
5 seconds left in the ball game, but yes, Ty was about to bring it up, folks. Next Friday will be my 50th game I've called for KSL Sports Read. For KSL Sports Read, 50 games. And I will be very, very remiss if I did not give a shout out to Dusty and Vince for giving me the opportunity to be here every Friday night doing what I love. I've had some great partners over the years with Alex Amrine and Tyler Gibb, Colton Potter, now my colleague at BYU Sports Nation, of course, Ty and Zach Hunter. Well, they all deserve, and Nate Carter and Eric Litzter, they all deserve accolades as the final play of the game takes place here. Bayless to the end zone, caught, touchdown. And that will do it as time expires here tonight. Ezra Heiner with a second touchdown of the night. Westlake gets into the end zone one more time. And we will have, I believe we're going to have at least the extra point. And then that will end, or rather that's going to be it. Because the margin is not within 3 points, well, not within 2 points, they will not have the extra point. That is it.
Well, Alex, how special was it that it was 4.9 seconds for your 49th going into your 50th?
Yes, going into the 50th. American Fork is the one that moves on, though. They get the big W here tonight. They win 42-13. And we'll be back to wrap it all up on the Rewind Sports Network. Well, it all wraps up here tonight. American Fork, the #1 overall seed in 6A, cruises to a 42-13 victory over the Westlake Thunder here tonight. Alexander Timolip alongside Ty Wilkinson wrapping this one up for the top of the press box here at AF. And Ty, you know, we really have to say that this has been about as, it has gone about as much as we thought it would. However, you cannot deny anymore, this American Fork Cavemen team, they have just shown everybody why they are the favorite. They are the new favorites in 6A. This was a statement
it was a statement, and it was a statement in disguise, too, at the same time. Everyone knew that American Fork was number one going into this, but the fact that they were able to come out here prove that on both sides of the ball. That's what the biggest emphasis that I have on this night was. The defense was outstanding, offense did their job, perfectly coordinated, just beautiful football all around on the Cavemen perspective. Unfortunately, Westlake, they gave it their all. We saw them provide as much pressure and honestly as much as they possibly could. Just the Cavemen were the better team, and I think they are earnably deserving of that second round playoff.
So we now move over to Westlake, put a bow on their season. Yes, it was a tough season for Westlake. 10 losses for Coach Arnold Ale in his first season as the Thunder's head coach. But, Ty, you cannot underestimate the fight and the will that this team has. This Westlake team, you know what? Despite their record, this is a tough team to play against. I know the Cavemen made it look easy tonight, but when you look at it on paper, this is not an easy team to play against. And you can be assured that they'll be back and better than ever next year.
And unfortunately for the Cavemen, they don't have very many players on their side. Not just because of the division that they're in, but you can look at the comparison of American Fork to Westlake. And the fact that they were able to put up as good as a fight that they did shows that they are still a team with a lot to prove. I mean, a new head coach. I think this team is going to be very, very vigilant in the next couple of years. Obviously, they just need to get their foot in the works, I guess, and be a little bit better in competition once they get players.
So it's time now to pick our Heidemann & Associates Player of the Game, presented by the full-service law firm committed to winning for you, the client. Yeah, I know Dylan Story had a great game. Yeah, we know Jacob Beerley had a hat trick of touchdowns tonight, but come on. The U-boy, Davis Andrews, had only 6 catches on the night, but 2 touchdowns, over 100 yards receiving, and he had a highlight reel interception in that first quarter that really set the tone for this Caveman team tonight.
Gotta love Mr. Cinco, and I say that because, well, obviously it's hard enough to be a receiver as is, but the fact that you can play defense and offense at the same, not the same time, but like at the same game is pretty impressive to me, considering the amount of energy and the amount of effort that takes. And there's a reason why he has a C on his jersey, and the C for the captain is because he's that versatile player, and he knows what he's doing on the field, and he works day in and day out to try to be that accessory player.
So, Ty, we look forward now. The Cavemen will have either Bingham or Syracuse coming in next week on Friday. Again, as you said, doesn't get any easier from here. Only gets harder for American Fork if they want to get back to Rice-Eccles Stadium. But on the evidence we've seen tonight, there is no reason we should not expect anything less than what we've seen tonight out of this AF team next week against whoever they face.
A provoking statement by the Cavemen, and above all, just all-around beautiful football. I had no complaints. A couple of penalties here and there were shown, and I don't want to, complain about that just because, well, that's football for you. You'll have those mess-ups. You'll have those misconceptions. Every team's not perfect, but they were pretty darn close. I'd say about 95% of the time.
So we thank Austin Bigelow for being here. I thank Ty Wilkinson. Ty, that was fun to be back with you. And
it's good to be back.
We've got one more game to go. We got one more game to go in this season next week. Let's hope it was as dominant as it was tonight by AF. But anyway, we'll be back next week for the quarterfinals as it continues on the KSL Sports family of Rewind Sports Networks. For my broadcast partner, Ty Wilkinson, for Vince Francis back in Salt Lake, and for Austin Bigelow, this is Alexander Tillip saying good night. You've been watching another presentation of the UHSAA State Championships on the official streaming partner of the UHSAA, KSLSports.com. Until we meet again, everyone, Maui, remember we love you. Take care of one another, everyone. Aloha from Utah, and good night.